Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits, number 231 to be exact. And we haven't missed any shows, but we're every other Monday, and the last three every other Mondays we did our NFL football draft breakdown with my friend Dan Tortora. And actually that was his audio. I was on his show, and he let me have the audio to use for Hobby Quick Hits. So the last regular Hobby Quick Hits we did was April 20th. So it's been a couple months since we did regular Hobby Quick Hits content. But we're back on the regular content horse today with our Q&A, another Q&A episode. So again, I've been saving these questions. These questions come into me, and then I answer them right away to the person directly that either DMs me or emails me the question itself. But I also ask them, hey, I love the question. Can I use this on a future Hobby Quick Hits Q&A episode? And with permission, I air these. Sometimes they say, just use my first name. And actually, I just use first names just to, so we don't, I don't know. I'm careful with using last names of somebody else, unless they say it's more than fine. And sometimes they say, "Hey, I don't really want to be identified. Just say it's use the content anonymously," and I respect that as well. So, with that being said, by all means, keep the questions coming. And if you may hear it on the air with your permission. So with that being said, let's get this show rolling.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the Hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi. This is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
All right, time for the new release schedule for the next couple weeks. Let's start with June 17th, we've got 2026 Leaf Spectacular Football, 2025/26 Panini Origins EuroLeague Basketball Hobby, 2026 Panini Select Racing, 2026 Topps Chrome Disney, Blasters Hobby, and Megas, 2025 Topps Dynasty Baseball, 2025 Topps Inception Baseball. Let's go to the next day, June 18th, 2025/26 Topps UEFA Women's Champions League Chrome Soccer Blaster and Hobbies. Now to the 19th, 2026 Leaf Metal Independence Day Founding Fathers version and hobby. Pokemon First Partner Illustration Collection Series 2. Pokemon Mega Lucario X-League Battle Deck, 2025/26 Topps Chrome Cactus Jack Baseball, 2025 Topps Cosmic Chrome Football, going to the 23rd now, 2025/26 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection Hockey. We've got 2026 Keepsake Michael Jackson Bad World Tour Premiere Mini. Going to the 24th now, we have 2026 Top Series 2 Baseball. We have 2026 Topps Tier 1 Baseball. 2025/26 Upper Deck SP Authentic Hockey. Going to the 25th now. 2025/26 Topps UEFA Club Competition's Finest Soccer. To the 26th, I don't know much about this product, but it's on the release schedule. CZX Jurassic Park. Don't know what that is, but it's a Jurassic Park release. 2025/26 Panini Origins EuroLeague Basketball H2. 2025/26 Panini Pitch King Soccer Hobby International. 2026 Panini Prism World Cup Soccer. 2025/26 Topps UEFA Club Competitions Chrome Soccer Sapphire. Still on the 26th, 2026 Topps UFC Knockout. And 2026 Leaf Electum Baseball Hobby. So that is your next 2 weeks of product releases. Lots of stuff coming out. So choose your product and happy ripping.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, it's been a bit since we did a news segment. So I can't catch up on everything. Let's talk about some of the bigger stories since the last time we did a news segment. It's not new news, but PSA is pausing their value bulk, their value plus, and their value max levels. They're saying they're hoping it's only for 4 months. There's a report that they're backlogged 14 million cards. So if you do want to sub still to PSA, the cheapest way you're going to do it is $74.99 on their regular service, which is a approximate 50-day turnaround. So it's going to cost you more money as they try to catch up. The last time this happened was during the COVID crescendo, if you remember that. Bobby Witt Jr. has an exclusive deal with Panini and Under Armour when it comes to some cards when you buy cleats. He's got a new pair of cleats called the Dream Pool, made by Under Armour, sold at most of your big sporting goods store, and every pair of cleats in the box will have a Panini Bobby Witt Jr. card, either a sneaker spotlight card or a color blast card. So you buy a pair of his Dream Pool cleats, and you get a exclusive card produced by Panini. Speaking of Panini, they have a new deal, multi-year deal with Pathway Sports and Entertainment, who specialize in the NIL, to produce athletes in various college sports, football, volleyball, soccer, and basketball, and etc. Featuring, Notre Dame, Michigan, USC, and Texas Tech. So Panini prepares for life after licensing with all these NIL deals. Bruce Buffer, the guy that ring announcer from UFC that cat trademarked his coin, his trademark phrase, right? It's time. I didn't do that. I sounded like Liam Cohen trying to do the Duval chant, but you know the one. He's opening up an LCS. It's called It's Time Sports Cards. It's in Agora Hills, California. 8,000 square feet of card store. Has a lounge. A lot of his artwork is there. They're going to carry all sports and non-sports. So check that place out. The pictures made it look pretty cool. So, we think of police officers as protect and serve, and 99% of them do that. But let's talk about one that didn't do that, and that his name is Brian Casey from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Former police officer, I might add, now, as he was relieved of his duties. He was relieved of his duties because he robbed a Grand Rapids card store, crashed his truck, found drunk in his truck with the cards that he stole from that Grand Rapids card store. But then they later linked him to another robbery 2 months earlier in another part of Michigan, not in Grand Rapids. He was still active on the force when he robbed that store. He wore the same clothing in both robberies, which made it easier really to attribute him to both cases. So, police officer who robbed cards and lost his job. Oh, we're not done with bad crime stories in the hobby. You know that. Seems like every week, every day, right? Not a police officer this time, but Paul Randall from Orange, California. Brace yourselves, $270 million of Medicaid fraud. He was bilking the California Medicaid with all these prescription orders to be filled and paid. $270 million. So you're like, John, where's the card relation to this? This sounds like a medical and law story. Well, you wouldn't be wrong. But he has over $1 million in cards that he bought with his fraudulent received money, including multiple Mantle rookies, multiple Jackie Robinson rookies in pretty decent grade. He also bought a 10-bedroom, 8-bathroom mansion, numerous Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and he's facing 30 years in prison. He's 66 years old. So it's probably safe to say his life on the outside world is most likely over if he's convicted, and a lot of evidence there. Everything he purchased with the stolen fraudulent money will be going up for auction via a government auction. So be on the lookout for that. And some over $1 million worth of cards, including some high-grade Robinson and Mantle rookies. That's going to be the news. We'll keep it short and sweet. This has actually been quite a quiet news cycle, comparatively speaking. So there you go.
And now our feature presentation.
All right, let's get to the Q&A episode. Let me preface this by saying, keep those questions coming. Whether it be via private message, direct message, email, whatever the route of delivery is fine. Always know I answer them as fast as I can directly, and then I may ask you, can we use this on a future Q&A episode? These questions I all got permission for. I only use first names, and if someone ever says, hey, I don't want you to use my name at all, but you can use it without my name attached, we can do that too. So again, keep any questions you have for myself. They can even be a little off topic, if you will. Let's start out with probably the big hot topic in the hobby, and a question that comes from Junior. Junior asked, what do you think the effects of the PSA pause on the lower levels will have across the grading board? I'm paraphrasing, but wanted to know my opinion on how this affects not only PSA, but the grading terrain as a whole, since Collectors owns 3 of the big 4, as they say. I don't think it's good. I understand, their reasonings and why they did it. Uh, I don't think it's good. It gives people, less options, if you will. I see it as a door opening for CGC if they can make some right calls, but I'm pretty sure I just saw they sort of raise prices too. So, it really, if you want to have one of the big four grade your cards, it's going to be tricky. And I think what will happen is we're going to see lesser cards, if you will. And I hate that word lesser, but lesser valued, lesser big, you know, cards that move my meter, as I like to say, being subbed. At a lower price level, you're going to see more cards being, graded. That's just at anything. A lesser price, more people going to buy something, if you will. I just did a show where I took SGC cards. It did not affect my intake there, and I would even venture to say that I think I got even some more because that's $18 a card. So I think SGC is going to see an increase. Their turnaround times at about 60 days, so between 2 and 3 months. But at 15, 16, 17, $18, it's still in that lesser, cost range. So hopefully PSA catches up. We'll see. But right now, that's kind of my take on the whole thing. So, all right, our next question comes from Alan, who says, "Are garbage kids a fad? Garbage pail kids a fad?" I think he meant to say. No, I think they're just another niche of the non-sports hobby, right? Like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or movie cards or Disney. I think they have their own fandom, and while I'm not really buying any new ones, like I grew up with Garbage Pail Kids and Wacky Packages, and so what do we know, right? Trading cards has a nostalgia factor, so I'm sure many people who were fans of them, like me when they were younger, maybe got back in, or bought some of the new ones. So, and not even just the nostalgia factor, right? Even new collectors are like stuff like that. So no, I don't think it's a fad. It's obviously not going to be on the same level as like a Pokemon. But they'll, Garbage Pail Kids will have their own niche part of hobby. People collect them. Some people, yeah, I will admit to this. It's not a secret. I'm a big Lady Gaga, Billy Joel fan. So they did some cards of them, and I bought the singles. So me saying I'm not buying them isn't 100%. I'm not buying wax or boxes, but I am buying some singles that I like just to have them. Not for value, or I think they're going to go up. Just being fans of an artist. In my case, Lady Gaga and Billy Joel. So that's my take there. All right, next question comes from Chris. He asked, "Do you see any of the sets from 1980 to 2000 taking off? Sometimes called the junk wax era. I don't know if taking off. I think we're too late. People know what they know. But there's great sets in those 20 years that you mentioned, right? One that I'm particularly fond of, the 84 Flair Update set with all those rookies in it. Now, that could have been a bigger set had, things went differently for Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, but it's still a great set with Puckett. Again, Clemens is in there, another bad ending story, if you will. But Puckett's rookie, there's Pete Rose. So it's still an iconic set because there's not a lot of them to go around. I think, we've seen sealed 89 Upper Deck sets rise for obvious reasons, right? The Griffey. And it's funny looking at the 89 design, even to this day, Like it really stands out even all these years later. All those, I think we're seeing sort of a rise in some of these small regional and sets. And again, not you can't always look at things at dollars and cents, but like Kmart did a hot rookie set for some rookies, in I think '89. You got some of the Donruss, the rookie set, some of the smaller sets that maybe don't take up a bunch of space where the stars per population are at a higher rate with a smaller set like a Donruss the rookies. We've seen a lot of like one-off sets start to rise in when people figure out there's just not a million of these like the regular flagship stuff. I think we're seeing a return to popularity, and in some cases more than they were when they came out. Some of these sets that have picked up steam now weren't super popular when they first came out. Things I used to collect, like the disc sets in the 80s and 90s from like beef jerky tins. I think we're seeing an increase in demand for some obscure stuff. So that's, if anything, I think from the 1980s to the 2000s, it's going to be some of those smaller, obscure sets that they're just, didn't, print the heck out of. And they exist. They're out there. So there's my answer there. Okay, a couple more. Next one from James, who says, "What are your thoughts on printing plates with autos?" Yeah, I don't have a problem with them. I own some. One that comes to mind, I'm looking at right now in my case, Mean Joe Green. So I have a Mean Joe Green 101 printing plate with an auto. You know, I think they have a place in the hobby. So like some people may not like them. Some, I hear. I guess you didn't say in your email, but I'm guessing you mean like, is there 4 101s because of the 4 colors? It's not a true 1-to-1. I think with printing plates, they're an acquired taste, right? So I think that's what they are. For me, I'm a big Mean Joe Green guy. Got a nice deal on a 101 signed printing plate, and I bought it. Doesn't bother me that there's 3 other different colored 101s, let's say. I just wanted that one. Player collectors are going to want those cards. And listen, if you're opening a product, right, you pull a 101 printing plate signed, you're probably going to be ecstatic about it, even if it maybe is not the greatest player in the world that signed it. So I don't have an issue with them. And I've pulled a couple in my day, and you still get that adrenaline rush. So yeah, I think certain people are going to still want them, get them, buy them, purchase them, trade them. So they don't bother me. All right, one last question. This one comes from Jesse, and it's sort of in line with the 101 printing plate auto. Is Leaf ruining celebrity autos by the amount they're producing? No, again, it's another niche of the hobby, right? Non-sports autos. And those, I've seen a lot of ripping of those celebrity products in person at a store I go to. So it is very popular. Are they killing it? I think in some, I can make a counterpoint, right? Some of the autographs they have are from celebrities that normally are not big signers, but Leaf is bucking up. There's probably not a lot of Harrison Ford autos and, things like that, but gives you an opportunity, right, to get an autograph of someone that you probably wouldn't be able to get in person or another way. So it all comes down to the price point, right? What are you willing to pay for an individual card or a wax box or a case, right? So I don't think they're the word you use, we're ruining celebrity autos. I think it's just another vessel to acquire and I own some Leaf autos, not a ton, but I do have a couple of people that I like that are, non-athletes. I think it's a great opportunity, to get non-athlete autos. And again, it comes down to the price point. I've seen Harrison Fords bring big money, but for someone who's a huge Harrison Ford fan, not me, but someone might be willing to buck up. I don't believe he signs very much in person, doesn't respond to TTM. So it's a way where if you're a Star Wars collector, maybe you're just a Harrison Ford super fan. It's a way to honor and still and get the autograph of that person where maybe you wouldn't be before. So actually, I think the opposite. Maybe you're just not a fan of Leaf, and I get that. They have their warts, so like a lot of companies do, but I don't think they're ruining celebrity autos, which is how it's worded. So just another niche, if that's a lane you collected. So, and again, I have a few of those printing plates. Like if you see my PC, it's pretty eclectic and a little bit of everything. So, so there you go. So there's our questions for this week's Q&A. Again, I'm gonna shameless plug. Keep those questions coming, whatever they may be. Even if you want to know what my favorite food is, whatever. It can be a little off topic. We have fun here, and want you to have fun too. So, with that being said, we are going to wrap up this segment. Thanks, everybody.